My wife put on a skirt so short it could double as a belt and told me she had to go help her ex-boyfriend with some urgent business crisis. I said, "Help him with what, Marta? Finding his dignity?" She didn't laugh. These days, her phone got more laughs than I did. I'm Nick Taylor, 41, manager of Iron Core Gym on the east side of Cincinnati. 10 years ago, I thought I'd married the smartest woman in advertising. Turns out I married the woman who advertised herself as smart while running a side business I never knew about. Lucas really needs me tonight, Nick. Marta adjusted her makeup in our bedroom mirror, applying lipstick like war paint. His biggest client is threatening to walk. At 11 p.m. on a Friday, what kind of client meets that late? The kind that pays Lucas enough to keep his agency afloat. She grabbed her purse, the expensive one I'd bought her for our anniversary last month. Don't wait up. Marriage tip. When your wife stops kissing you goodbye, but never forgets her lipstick, you're in trouble. I watched through our bedroom window as Marta climbed into her BMW, the skirt riding up so high, I wondered if she'd remembered underwear. My phone buzzed with a text from my gym buddy Jamal. Bro, saw Marta at Vertigo last week. She wasn't alone. Vertigo, the glass-walled rooftop club downtown, where Cincinnati's wannabe elite went to pretend they were important, where drinks cost more than most people's hourly wage, and the music was loud enough to drown out conscience. I stared at Jamal's message for a full minute, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Another text came in, this one from Pete, another gym regular. Nick, man, we need to talk. Can you meet us downtown? Then Tyler. Dude, bring the crew. Tonight. My phone rang. Jamal's name flashed on the screen. Nick, you there? Yeah, I'm here. What's going on? Look, man, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but we've been seeing Marta around town. A lot. With that Lucas guy. Define around town. Restaurants, bars, his condo building. Last Tuesday at noon when you thought she was at work. I sat down hard on our bed, the mattress creaking under my weight. You're sure it was her? Nick, I've known Marta for 5 years. It was her, and they weren't discussing business, if you know what I mean. I knew what he meant. I'd been pretending not to know for weeks. Where are you guys now? Heading to Vertigo. Pete thinks she might be there tonight. You want to come down? I looked around our bedroom. Marta's clothes scattered everywhere, her jewelry box open, expensive perfume bottles cluttering the dresser. Everything screaming money we didn't have, and priorities I didn't understand. Yeah, I said, grabbing my keys. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Nick, bring your sense of humor. You're gonna need it. Vertigo sat on top of the Meridian Tower like a glass crown, all sharp edges and neon ambition. The elevator ride to the 32nd floor gave me plenty of time to think about what I might find up there. By the time the doors opened, I decided that whatever I saw, I wasn't going to be the guy who made a scene. I was going to be the guy who made a better scene. The club pulsed with bass-heavy music and the kind of lighting designed to make everyone look either mysterious or drunk. I spotted my crew immediately. Jamal, Pete, Tyler, Greg, and Alex clustered around the bar like a tactical unit. These weren't just gym buddies. They were guys who'd been through things. Military, mostly. The kind of men who knew how to handle situations. There's our boy, Pete called out, sliding a beer across the bar to me. You ready for this? Ready for what? Tyler pointed toward the VIP section, where low couches surrounded glass tables and the lighting was even dimmer. Your wife's holding court over there. I followed his gaze and felt something cold settle in my stomach. Marta was draped across a leather couch, her legs stretched across the lap of a man in an expensive suit. Lucas Barrett, I presumed. Her ex-boyfriend, current business associate, and apparently much more. His hand rested on her thigh, thumb tracing small circles on her skin. She was laughing at something he'd said, her head thrown back in a way that showed off the necklace I'd given her for Christmas. How long have they been like that? I asked. Since we got here an hour ago, Jamal said. But Nick, that's not the worst part. There's a worst part? Greg nodded toward a table near the VIP section. See the brunette with the phone? That's Denise from Marta's office. She's been taking pictures all night. And the blonde next to her is Victoria. Victoria. Marta's sister, the one who'd been divorced 3 times and treated marriage like a subscription service you could cancel anytime. The one who'd always told Marta she was too good for a gym manager. They're documenting this, Alex said, like they want evidence. Evidence of what? That's what we're going to find out. I watched Marta lean into Lucas, whispering something in his ear that made him smile. His hand moved higher on her leg, and she didn't stop him. Okay, I said, finishing my beer in one long pull. I need a favor. Name it, Pete said. See those two women at the corner table, the redheads? The guys turned to look. Lexi and Lana Morrison, 27-year-old twins who'd built Instagram careers out of looking good in bikinis and starting drama. They were local celebrities in the way that only social media could create. Famous for being famous, followed by thousands of people who wished they had their lives. The Instagram twins? Tyler grinned. Oh, this is going to be good. I need you guys to go buy them drinks. Expensive drinks. Tell them I'm recently single and looking to celebrate. You're not single, Jamal pointed out. I'm about to be. I walked across the club with the kind of confidence that comes from having nothing left to lose. The twins looked up as I approached, their faces lighting up with the kind of interest that beautiful women reserve for men who might be useful. Ladies, I said, sliding into the booth across from them. I'm Nick. My friends over there think I should buy you champagne. Your friends have good taste, Lexi said. Or maybe it was Lana. I'd never been able to tell them apart. What are we celebrating? The other twin asked. My divorce, I said, loud enough for the tables around us to hear. My wife's over there in the VIP section, sitting on her ex-boyfriend's lap. I figure if she's going to make a public spectacle of herself, I might as well join the party. Both twins turned to look toward the VIP area, their eyes widening as they spotted Marta. Oh my God, one of them said. That's so awful, and so perfect. Perfect? Honey, revenge is our specialty, and we have 2 million followers who love drama. That's when I knew the night was about to get interesting. The twins, Lexi and Lana, as they'd introduced themselves, were artists when it came to making an entrance. Within 10 minutes, they'd transformed our corner table into the social center of the club. Champagne appeared, along with a photographer who seemed to materialize from nowhere. So you're telling me, Lexi said, loud enough for half the club to hear, that woman over there is married to you and she's all over another man? Technically, we're still married, I said, playing my part. But I signed divorce papers this morning. Just need her signature to make it official. The photographer's camera flashed. I could see people at nearby tables turning to look, phones coming out to capture whatever drama was unfolding. That's so tragic, Lana said, sliding closer to me in the booth. You seem like such a catch. I thought so too. Turns out I was fishing in the wrong pond. More camera flashes. The twins were experts at this, I realized. They knew exactly how to create a scene that would look spontaneous but photograph perfectly. You know what you need? Lexi stood up, extending her hand to me. You need to dance. Nothing says I'm over you like dancing with gorgeous women. I let them lead me to the dance floor, acutely aware that we were now in direct line of sight from the VIP section. The music was some kind of electronic remix that seemed designed specifically for grinding against strangers in public. The twins didn't disappoint. They flanked me on either side, their bodies pressed against mine as we moved to the music. Hands on my chest, my arms, my shoulders. I caught a glimpse of Marta in my peripheral vision. She'd stopped talking to Lucas and was staring directly at us. She's watching, Lana whispered in my ear. Good, I whispered back. She looks pissed. Even better, the song changed to something slower, more intimate. Lexi spun around so her back was against my chest, Lana facing us both. To anyone watching, it looked like I was sandwiched between two women who couldn't keep their hands off me. Which, to be fair, I was. Nick? Marta's voice cut through the music like a blade. She was standing at the edge of the dance floor, her face flushed with anger and alcohol. What the hell do you think you're doing? I looked up from where Lana was running her fingers through my hair. Oh, hey Marta. I thought you were busy helping Lucas with his business crisis. This is not what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you're on a date with your ex-boyfriend while wearing a skirt that violates several public decency laws. The twins giggled. People around us had stopped dancing to watch the show. These are my friends, I continued, wrapping an arm around each twin. Lexi and Lana. Ladies, meet my soon-to-be ex-wife, Marta. Soon-to-be? Marta's voice went up an octave. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a folded document. Divorce papers, already signed on my end. Just need your John Hancock and we can both move on with our lives. Marta stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. You can't be serious. Dead serious. In fact, I've already moved your stuff into storage and put the house on the market. Your key won't work anymore, by the way. You what? The circle of onlookers was growing. I could see phones recording, people whispering to their friends. In the VIP section, Lucas was standing now, looking like he wanted to intervene but wasn't sure how. I also split our bank accounts this morning, I continued conversationally. Took exactly half of everything, which I think is fair. Your half should be enough to get you started in your new life with Lucas. Nick, you're being ridiculous. Lucas and I are just what? Just friends? Just business partners? Just two people who can't keep their hands off each other in public? Marta looked around at the crowd watching us, her face cycling through emotions like a slot machine. Anger, embarrassment, panic, more anger. We need to talk about this privately, she said. I think we're past private conversations, don't you? I gestured to the VIP section, where Lucas was still hovering uncertainly. Besides, your boyfriend's waiting. That's when she snapped. Marta lunged forward, her hand aimed at my face in a slap that would have connected if Lexi hadn't stepped smoothly into her path. Whoa there, honey, Lexi said, catching Marta's wrist. That's assault. Get your hands off me, you little... Careful, Lana interrupted, her phone already out and recording. You're about to say something that's going to follow you around the internet forever. Marta jerked her arm free, stumbling slightly in her heels. The circle around us had grown larger, and I could see club security starting to move in our direction. This is insane, Marta said, her voice getting louder and more shrill. Nick, you can't just end our marriage because you're having some kind of midlife crisis. Midlife crisis, I laughed, and it came out harder than I'd intended. Marta, I found the credit card statements, the hotel charges, the restaurant bills for two when you were supposedly working late. Her face went pale under her makeup. I found the text messages you forgot to delete. The ones where you and Lucas planned your little reunion tour. You went through my phone? I didn't have to. You left it on the kitchen counter last week, and it kept buzzing with messages from Elle. Real subtle, by the way. Lucas had finally worked up the courage to approach us, weaving through the crowd with the kind of swagger that expensive clothes and inherited money tend to produce. Is there a problem here? He asked, like he was doing us all a favor by gracing us with his presence. I looked him up and down, 6 feet tall, perfectly styled hair, suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. The kind of man who'd never had to work for anything in his life. No problem at all, I said. Just serving my wife some papers and introducing her to my new friends. Your new friends? Lucas looked at the twins with obvious distaste. Really, Nick? This is how you want to handle things? How I want to handle things. I stepped closer to him, close enough to smell his expensive cologne. Lucas, you've been sleeping with my wife for months. I don't think you get to lecture me on how to handle anything. That's not true, really, because I have photos. That stopped him cold. Behind him, Marta made a small choking sound. Photos of what? Lucas asked, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. Of you two at the Marriott downtown, last Tuesday afternoon. Very romantic, by the way. I especially liked the part where you carried her bags up to room 412. I didn't actually have photos, but my gym buddy Alex worked security at the Marriott, and he'd been very helpful with details. You're bluffing, Marta said, but she didn't sound sure. Am I? Alex, why don't you come over here? Alex appeared from the crowd, still wearing his security company polo shirt. He was 6'4", 250 pounds of muscle, with the kind of presence that made people nervous. Hey Nick, he said casually, fancy seeing you here. Alex works security at the Marriott, I explained to Marta and Lucas. He's been very helpful in documenting your afternoon activities. Lucas looked like he was going to be sick. This is harassment, Marta said, but her voice was shaking now. This is evidence, I corrected, for the divorce proceedings, which, by the way, are going to be very public if you don't sign those papers voluntarily. The crowd around us had grown to include most of the club. Phones were recording from every angle. I could see Victoria pushing through the crowd, her face a mask of fury. Nicholas Taylor, Victoria said, using my full name like she was my mother. You stop this right now. Victoria, so nice to see you. How's your third husband doing? Or is it your fourth? I lose track. You have no right to humiliate Marta like this. I have every right. I'm her husband. Or I was, until she decided to upgrade to Lucas here. Marta made a mistake. But this isn't the way to... A mistake? I looked around at the crowd, then back at Victoria. She's been planning this for months. You helped her, didn't you? Victoria's face went pale. You helped her set up the separate bank account. You helped her move money around so I wouldn't notice. You probably helped her pick out that skirt. That's not true? Victoria, I have your text messages too. I didn't, but Victoria didn't know that. Marta forwarded them to me by accident last week. The ones where you called me deadweight and told her she deserved better. Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The ones where you helped her plan how to take me for everything in the divorce. That's when Marta broke. Stop it, she screamed, loud enough to be heard over the music. Just stop it. Yes, I'm seeing Lucas. Yes, I want a divorce. But you don't get to destroy my life because your feelings are hurt. The club had gone almost silent. Even the DJ seemed to have turned down the music. Destroy your life. I looked around at the crowd, then back at her. Marta, I'm not destroying anything. I'm just refusing to be quiet about it. You're making a scene. You made the scene. I'm just adding some lighting. Security had finally reached us. Two large men in black shirts who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Folks, we're going to need you to take this outside, one of them said. Absolutely, I said, wrapping my arms around the twins. Ladies, shall we continue this party somewhere with better music? Where are you going? Marta demanded. I looked back at her. Standing there in her too short skirt, makeup smeared, surrounded by a crowd of strangers with their phones out, next to a man who looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Somewhere you're not invited, I said. But don't worry. I'm sure it'll be all over social media by morning. And with that, I walked out of Vertigo, with a twin on each arm, leaving my wife and her lover to deal with the crowd, the cameras, and the consequences. The night was just getting started. By Saturday morning, I was internet famous. The twins had done their work well. Sheer drama was trending on TikTok, with videos of Marta's meltdown racking up hundreds of thousands of views. Someone had edited together a highlight reel set to dramatic music, complete with slow-motion shots of her face when I'd pulled out the divorce papers. I was sitting in my new apartment, a furnished place downtown that I'd rented Friday morning before going to the club, drinking coffee and scrolling through the comments when my phone rang. Nick? It was my mother, calling from Florida. What in God's name is happening up there? Hi, Mom. I take it you've seen the videos. Your cousin Jennifer sent me a link. She said you're all over the internet. That's accurate. Nicholas, please tell me you didn't plan this. I considered lying, but my mother had a supernatural ability to detect dishonesty through phone lines. I may have planned some of it. Oh, honey, she sighed. How bad is it? I refreshed my phone screen. Well, the main video has 1.2 million views and counting. Someone made a remix of Marta screaming, "Just stop it," that's at 800,000. And there's a meme going around with Lucas's face when I mentioned the hotel photos. And how do you feel about all this? That was my mother, cutting straight to the heart of things. Honestly, pretty good. For the first time in months, I feel like I'm not the one being lied to. But this isn't like you, Nick. You've never been vindictive. I've never been publicly humiliated before. My phone buzzed with a text from Jamal. Dude, turn on Channel 9. You're on the morning show. I switched on the TV just in time to see footage of last night playing on the local news, with a banner reading, "Divorce Drama Goes Viral." The incident at Vertigo nightclub has sparked conversation about privacy, social media, and the way we handle relationship conflicts in the digital age, the anchor was saying. We'll have more on this developing story after the break. Mom, I'm on the news. I know, honey. Your aunt called me 20 minutes ago. My phone was buzzing constantly now. Text messages, missed calls, notifications from social media platforms I'd forgotten I had accounts on. Tyler, bro, you're famous. Also, Lucas's business partner just called, wants to meet. Pete, Marta's been calling the gym looking for you. Sounds desperate. Alex, hotel says they've had reporters calling about Tuesday. You might want to lawyer up. Greg, the twins posted a video about last night. They're calling you Cincinnati's hottest revenge story. I was reading through the messages when someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw a woman in a business suit holding a microphone, with a camera crew behind her. Local news had found me. I didn't answer the door, but I did text the twins. Want to go to Miami for a few days? The response came back in under 30 seconds. Already packing. I was supposed to be in Miami, but something made me stay. Maybe it was curiosity about what Marta would do next. Maybe it was the knowledge that running away would make me look guilty of something. Or maybe I just wasn't done yet. Monday morning, I was back at Iron Core Gym, trying to pretend my life was normal while fielding calls from reporters and dodging people who wanted selfies with that guy from the viral video. And that's when Victoria showed up. She walked into my gym like she owned it, wearing a power suit and an expression that could have cut glass. I was in my office, pretending to do paperwork, when she knocked on the doorframe. "We need to talk," she said. "Victoria, come to apologize for helping your sister destroy my marriage? I came to offer you a deal." She sat down across from my desk without being invited, crossing her legs and fixing me with the kind of stare she probably used in boardrooms. "Marta is willing to sign the divorce papers," she said. "Clean split, no lawyers, no court dates. You keep the gym, she keeps her career." "Her career? You mean the one where she's now famous for cheating on her husband in public? This doesn't have to get worse, Nick." "Worse for who?" "For everyone. Marta's employer is considering termination. Lucas's biggest client pulled their account this morning. You've made your point." I leaned back in my chair, studying Victoria's face. She was nervous, which was unusual. Victoria was never nervous. "What aren't you telling me?" I asked. "Nothing. I'm just trying to—" "Victoria, I've known you for 7 years. You're hiding something." She shifted in her chair, her confidence cracking slightly. "There may be additional complications, such as Marta and Lucas weren't just having an affair. I know. They were planning to take me for everything in the divorce. I figured that out. It's more than that." Victoria looked around my office like she was checking for recording devices. "They were going to frame you." "Frame me for what?" "Spousal abuse. They had fake text messages, staged photos, a whole story about how you were controlling and violent." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "What kind of photos?" "Marta with bruises, makeup, but they looked real. They were going to claim you hit her, that she was afraid for her safety." The room went very quiet. I could hear the sounds of the gym outside, weights clanking, music playing, people living their normal lives while mine imploded. "They were going to send me to prison," I said. "The plan was to get a restraining order, then file for divorce with evidence of abuse. You would have lost everything and probably faced criminal charges." "Why are you telling me this?" Victoria looked down at her hands. "Because I helped them plan it, and because I can't live with what we almost did." I stared at her for a long moment, processing what she'd just told me. "You have proof of this?" "Text messages, photos of the fake bruises, audio recordings of them planning it. And you're willing to turn that over to me in exchange for your agreement to make this all go away quietly." I stood up and walked to my office window, looking out at the gym floor where people were working out, focused on improving themselves, building strength, becoming better than they were yesterday. "Victoria," I said without turning around, "you just made a very big mistake." "What do you mean?" I turned back to face her. "You just gave me everything I need to destroy them completely." "But you thought I'd be grateful for the warning and agree to slink away quietly." "But here's the thing, Victoria. I'm not the same guy I was a week ago." I walked back to my desk and sat down, pulling out my phone. "I'm going to give you a choice. You can turn over all that evidence to me voluntarily, or I can call the police right now and report an attempted fraud conspiracy." "You can't prove." "I can prove you just confessed to me. My gym has security cameras with audio recording. Everything you just said is on tape." Victoria's face went white. "You're bluffing." I pointed to the camera mounted in the corner of my office. "Want to bet your freedom on it?" She stared at the camera, then back at me, her composure finally cracking completely. "What do you want?" she whispered. "I want justice, and I want it public." Wednesday evening, I was ready to end this. I'd spent 2 days preparing, with help from people who'd become more than just gym buddies. They'd become an army. Alex had used his security connections to verify Victoria's evidence. Jamal had reached out to his contacts in local media. Pete had arranged for the perfect venue. The venue was Iron Core Gym, after hours, with professional lighting and camera equipment that the twins had somehow procured. They'd also brought their social media following, which now included several million people who were invested in seeing how this story ended. "You sure about this?" Jamal asked as we finished setting up. "Once we do this, there's no taking it back." "There's no taking back what they tried to do to me either," I said. The plan was simple. I'd invited Marta, Lucas, and Victoria to meet me at the gym, under the pretense of signing the divorce papers and settling everything quietly. They thought they were coming to negotiate. They had no idea they were walking into a trial. Marta arrived first, looking nervous but defiant. She'd traded the club outfit for jeans and a sweater, like she was trying to look more sympathetic. "Nick, I'm glad you came to your senses about this," she said as she walked into the gym. "Oh, I've definitely come to my senses." Lucas arrived 5 minutes later, followed by Victoria. They looked around at the cameras and lighting equipment with growing alarm. "What is all this?" Lucas asked. "This is where we settle things," I said, "publicly. We agreed to handle this privately," Victoria said. "You agreed to that. I agreed to meet with you." The twins were positioned at cameras, looking like professional videographers. My gym crew was scattered around the space, not threatening, but definitely present. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, looking directly into the main camera, "welcome to the conclusion of Cincinnati's most viral divorce. I'm Nick Taylor, and these are the people who tried to destroy my life." "Nick, stop," Marta said. "This is insane." "What's insane is what you three planned to do to me." I pulled out a folder of documents. "Victoria, would you like to tell everyone what you told me on Monday?" Victoria looked like she wanted to run. "Or should I just play the recording?" I held up my phone, finger hovering over the play button. "You recorded me without my consent," Victoria said. "In my own office, which has posted signs about security recording. Perfectly legal." Lucas stepped forward. "Look, we can work this out. Whatever you want. What I want is the truth. All of it. On camera." I looked at each of them, then back at the camera. "See, folks, it turns out my wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning to frame me for domestic violence, take everything I owned, and send me to prison for crimes I never committed." Marta's face went pale. "That's not true? Really?" "Because I have the text messages. I have the photos of fake bruises. I have recordings of you and Lucas planning the whole thing." I held up Victoria's phone, which she'd handed over Monday in exchange for my agreement not to call the police immediately. "Should we start with the text where you called me stupid enough to fall for it? Or the one where Lucas said I deserved whatever I got?" "Nick, please," Marta said. And for the first time since this started, she sounded genuinely afraid. "Please what? Please let you destroy my life quietly? Please pretend you didn't try to send me to prison for something I never did?" I walked closer to the camera. "See, here's what really happened. My wife got bored with being married to a gym manager. She wanted to upgrade to her ex-boyfriend, who has more money and fewer morals. But instead of just asking for a divorce like a decent human being, they decided to frame me for abuse, so she could take everything and I'd be too busy fighting criminal charges to stop them." Lucas tried to leave, but Pete and Tyler blocked the exit. "We're not done yet," I said. "You can't keep us here against our will," Lucas said. "I'm not keeping you anywhere. But if you leave now, I'm calling the police and the media with everything I have. If you stay, you get a chance to explain yourselves." "Explain what?" Marta's voice was getting shrill again. "Explain why you thought you could destroy an innocent man's life for money. Explain why you thought I was too stupid to figure it out. Explain why you're even worse than I thought you were." I turned back to the camera. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Marta Taylor, Lucas Barrett, and Victoria Chen, three people who planned to commit fraud, perjury, and conspiracy, all so they could steal from a gym manager who trusted them." This is defamation," Victoria said weakly. "This is evidence," I corrected, holding up the folder again, "all of which has been turned over to the police and the district attorney's office." That got their attention. "You what?" Lucas said. "I filed a criminal complaint this morning. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted perjury, filing false police reports. The DA is very interested in your little scheme." Marta started crying, but they weren't the kind of tears that generated sympathy. They were the tears of someone who'd finally realized the consequences of their actions. "But here's the thing," I continued. "I'm feeling generous tonight." And I walked over to a table where the divorce papers were waiting. "Marta, sign these papers. Agree to the settlement I've outlined, which, by the way, gives you exactly nothing except your personal belongings. Lucas, you're going to pay for my legal fees and emotional damages. Victoria, you're going to make a public apology and admit to your role in this scheme." "And if we don't?" Lucas asked. I smiled at him, and it wasn't a nice smile. "Then you get to explain all of this to a judge and jury, with full media coverage." "This is blackmail," Victoria said. "This is justice," I corrected. "You tried to blackmail me with fake evidence. I'm offering you a choice based on real evidence." I gestured to the cameras. "And it's all being broadcast live to about 2 million people. So everyone gets to see what kind of people you really are. Marta looked at the papers, then at Lucas, then at Victoria. The fight had gone out of all of them. Where do I sign? She whispered. 30 minutes later, it was over. Marta had signed the divorce papers with shaking hands, agreeing to a settlement that left her with her car, her personal belongings, and nothing else. Lucas had written a check for $50,000 in damages and legal fees. Victoria had made a tearful confession to the camera about her role in the scheme. All of it broadcast live to an audience that had grown to over 3 million viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, I said to the camera as the three of them prepared to leave, this concludes the saga of Cincinnati's messiest divorce. Justice has been served, papers have been signed, and the truth has been told. I looked at Marta one last time. She was a broken woman, her reputation destroyed, her career over, her schemes exposed. Part of me felt sorry for her, a very small part. Any last words for your audience, Marta? I asked. She looked directly into the camera, mascara streaked down her cheeks. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry for all of it. Too little, too late, I said. But at least it's honest. Lucas and Victoria said nothing. They just wanted to escape, to disappear, to pretend this had never happened. But the internet is forever, and their names would be attached to this story for the rest of their lives. As they walked toward the exit, Marta turned back one last time. Nick, she said, I did love you once. I looked at her, really looked at her, and tried to find some trace of the woman I'd married. But she was gone, if she'd ever really existed at all. I know, I said. That's what makes this so much worse. And then they were gone, walking out into the night and whatever consequences awaited them. I turned back to the camera one final time. For those of you who've been following this story, thank you for your support. For those who think I went too far, I understand. But sometimes when someone tries to destroy your life, you have to destroy theirs first. The twins appeared on either side of me, as perfectly timed as always. So what's next for Nick Taylor? Lexi asked. I looked around my gym, my space, my business, my life that I'd built, and that they'd tried to take from me. Now I get back to living, I said. Without liars, without cheaters, and without people who think I'm too stupid to fight back. I walked toward the camera until my face filled the frame. Let this be a lesson to anyone who thinks they can destroy an innocent person for their own gain. Sometimes the underdog wins, sometimes the good guy gets revenge, and sometimes justice is served with a side of public humiliation. I smiled at the camera, and this time it was a real smile. This is Nick Taylor, signing off. The divorce is final, the truth is out, and I'm done being the victim in someone else's story. The camera kept rolling as I walked away, the twins following, my crew cheering, and 3 million people watching.